Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you. Whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 139th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and this week is all about a perfect day at CoCoCay, which is Royal Caribbean Cruise Line's private island, also shared with their sister brand, which is Celebrity Cruises. So last week, I gave you a teaser, and I said that I was going to tell you the one thing that I wish I had done differently on our cruise that we took on the Wonder of the Seas, where we did a 7-night cruise out of Port Canaveral. We did the Eastern Caribbean itinerary. There's also a Western Caribbean itinerary. We've done that one so many times, where you go to ports in Mexico, Jamaica or Belize, Grand Cayman, Roatan. So we wanted to do an Eastern Caribbean one. So we had to drive to get to Port Canaveral in order to do that. Well, one of the reasons we chose that itinerary was for the perfect day at CoCoCay, because the last time I went here, it would have been, I believe, in 2015. So maybe 16. So it's been about 9 or 10 years. And when we went then, you went for the day, and it still felt amazing because you were on a private island in the Bahamas, and you had full access to these beautiful 120 acres, but it was all like chairs, umbrellas, beaches, and that's about it. Because what else could you need, right? Like, you were in the Bahamas. The water was incredible. You could go snorkeling or maybe go out on a glass bottom boat, maybe do some jet skiing. Your food was included, but it was brought in, and I think we had like big tents, or maybe some pergolas where you could eat. But it was definitely lower key compared to what it is now. Now, you have this amazing thrill water park with one of, if not the tallest water slide in the entire North America. Also, it has the largest wave pool in the Caribbean. So there's so much you can do there now. And so I wanted to share some of the things. So it is such a popular stop that some people choose Royal Caribbean for their private island alone, because for some it's considered the ultimate beach day. Like, it cannot get any better. It's so popular, in fact, that they're adding another perfect day, but it's going to be in Mexico. So that's being added soon. So there are over 25 Royal Caribbean ships, and they can only have 2 a day that pull up to CoCoCay. They don't have to tender. So that means there's a pier, you have one on each side. As soon as you pull up and you're cleared, you can go on out. And so you have usually 8 to 10 hours to explore this paradise. So when you arrive, you're going to feel the Bahamas vibe. So they have Junkanoo performers, which when I've been to the Bahamas before, especially in Nassau, like, that is something that really stands out to me. So imagine kind of like maybe their version of Mardi Gras performers, but that it is, the costumes are all handmade from usually recyclable materials that they find. They're very bright, colorful, pinks, oranges, greens, blues, and they're going to have bells and instruments sometimes, and they're going to dance to really fun music, and they're there to greet you, and you really feel like you are in the Bahamas, because you are. So even though it is Royal Caribbean's private island, you are in the Bahamas. Another thing, speaking of the Bahamas, they have a straw market. And we didn't find this until the very end of our day because I'm going to tell you, we thought we kept seeing everything. There was so much more to explore. We were really relaxing, but we were like kind of skimming the surface in some ways on things. So we found, Christian and I stumbled upon the straw market where you could buy pretty much anything. You could buy clothes, other souvenirs, swimsuits, straw hats, snorkel gear. So if you want to go snorkeling, didn't bring your own snorkel gear, yes, you can book an excursion for this day, or you could just go buy your own snorkel gear and go straight into the water off the beach. So that's another option that they really don't advertise. So that's some extra information for you. Other gifts or souvenirs you want to bring home, lots of things there. So like I said, it's over 120 acres. It's walkable, but you have a free tram that's also available. Other things that are included, beach access wheelchairs and strollers. They have lunch and drinks like on board. So if you have a drink package, then the drink package is also included on the island. If you have a Wi-Fi package, like I had a Wi-Fi package for social media and I could use my internet, then they also include that on the island. So that's really nice. Some tips, I would definitely eat breakfast on the ship. We did. We watched as we were docking in and we got to see it from the Windjammer. But we had breakfast because most of the food places on the island, they bring everything in. They do have people who live, employees, staff that live there year round on the island, but they're bringing a lot of things in from the ship to the island every day they pull in. So they don't start serving lunch until about 10:30. So yes, there are snacks you can get, but if you think you might be hungry, don't just hop off the ship without having eaten something. Eat your breakfast on the ship. Another thing I highly recommend is bring your towels from on board. You can check those out with your SeaPass card, take them off the ship onto the island, and then bring them back with you. They do not have towels that you can access on the island because then that would be just another thing they had to bring on and off. So you need to bring your own towels with you from on board. Your lunch is included, buffet style. There's multiple places where you can eat, get snacks. The food was really good. I think that's one of the biggest improvements. I mean, besides now they have this huge water park that wasn't there before. But the food, I thought, there's so many more options than before. You could also get ice cream just like on the ship. They had some really good drinks. Like you could get mango flavored water or strawberry kiwi water, and that's included. You didn't pay extra for that. We went to the giant Oasis pool that had pool loungers in the pool, very comfortable. Chairs and umbrellas were included. You didn't have to pay extra for those. Multiple beach spots that were included. I mean, we kept finding beach spot after beach spot. So whether you want to be at the pool, they have life jackets, or you want to be at the beach, also life jackets and beach games. Hammocks. So you could play beach volleyball. They had this giant pool, meaning not like you get wet pool, but like playing like billiards pool where it was soccer combined with a pool theme. Really cool. So instead of using pool cues to knock in your pool balls, you were kicking soccer balls that looked like pool balls. So that was really neat. They had ring toss. They had cornhole. There were hammocks that you could lay in under the palm trees. They had 2 splash pad areas that were included. And Christian really enjoyed these because they weren't just like tiny splash pads. One was like a pirate ship. I mean, it was a huge pirate ship with slides, water guns, buckets that would fill up and then spill out, little water slides. So those are things that were included. They also had live music playing. So there's a lot. Now, there's so much more I want to share with you, but you were going to have to tune in to the podcast for the rest of this because those are all the things that are included. I am going to share with you the things that are additional. Okay, we are back. So we talked about all the things that are included. So let's talk about the things that are not included because there's a lot of things. So I mentioned a lot of things that were, but there are even more things that I feel like that are not included. Of course, your specialty drinks, just like on the ship, unless you have a drink package, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, your frozen drinks, your alcohol, that's going to be extra. Let's talk cabanas. If you've seen the commercials for Perfect Day at CoCoCay, you may have seen these incredible over-the-water cabanas that have a slide that you can go straight into the water. They have cabana attendants. They have the loungers. They're covered. It looks like something from Bora Bora. Well, those are extra, my friends. And you can have up to 8 people that share them. But I priced these. And prepare for your jaw to drop because they were pricing at $3,700 for 8 people. That doesn't include your alcohol either. So if you had the drink package on the ship, then it's included. But this is up to 8 people, and their pricing is dynamic pricing. So that means it's going to fluctuate. It may not be that high every time, but when we were going what they consider peak time in the Caribbean, that's what the prices were going for. So yes, you can split it with 8 people. Yes, children are allowed for those. And that's from their beach club. You do get access to their beach club as well, because that's the private area. Think of a Las Vegas style private beach club, but you're in the Bahamas. So amazing pools, extra amenities. There were no hot tubs. I think that's important to note, because even though the weather was beautiful, we're talking 73, 74 degrees, the water in the Bahamas is going to still be chilly in January and February. Some of the coldest water I've ever been in my life, because that's the only time I'll get in the water when it's that cold, is when it's that beautiful in the Bahamas. It was frigid. I did not manage to stay in the pool very long. Same with the beach. It was a little warmer than the pool, but it was cold. So I'm just going to warn you, if you don't like cold water, keep that in mind. January and February, the water's still going to be cool in the Bahamas. Unlike other places where we were in the water, like in St. Martin, even St. Thomas, the water was comfortable. The Bahamas are closer to Florida, so it's going to be cooler. So the cabanas, they come with a cabana attendant. You have the whole day. Yes, you have a chance to cancel if the weather's going to be bad. They can refund, but I believe you have up until maybe 48 hours before to cancel that. So you can book the cabanas ahead of time. They do sell out. They were packed when we went. So it was amazing to me to see how many of the cabanas were full, even for that pricing. Zip lining. A 1,600-foot zip line, 3 separate runs. This is what I regret not doing. Logan and London loved the zip lining on the ship. Christian and I opted out, and that was included on the ship. It was not included on Perfect Day at CoCoCay, but I wish I had done it, because it was not as high up as the 10 decks, and it was amazing. You went over the whole island. Logan and London said that you saw so much. They thought it was beautiful. And it's more of you're sitting in like a seat or a sling than ziplining where you're just suspended. So it looked more comfortable. And they said that their ziplining guides were wonderful. You climb up to each tower to zipline, and they just hook you up, and you don't have to get, all your gear off per station. You just move on to the next. So I really think I would have enjoyed it. And the next time I go, that's something I'm definitely going to do. You can do excursions, from guided snorkeling to swimming with the pigs, glass bottom boats, the giant tethered hot air balloon. There are adults only areas. The Thrills Water Park, very important to know when you see these pictures of CoCoCay, that is going to stand out. But it is not included. It is extra. And it does vary per day, per sailing, per ship you're on, how much that's going to be. So definitely check out the pricing for when you're wanting to go to see what it's going to be. Some tips that I have, if you're going to do the zip lining, you want to bring closed-toed shoes and dry clothes for the zip lining. They did have some Crocs you could borrow, so you didn't have to walk all the way back to the ship. But I do recommend you bring your own. There are adults-only areas. That was going to be Hideaway Beach. And it's further away from the ship, but you could take the tram there. So you are paying extra for that. But for those who have gone, and I've had clients who've gone to Hideaway Beach, they just said it was an amazing experience. You feel like you have the place more to yourselves. You're not kind of having to rush to grab chairs with umbrellas. You have more space. There's food there as well. They absolutely loved it. And so if you're going adults only, there's not a kids club on board, or there is a kids club on board the ship. There's not on the island. So yes, there's Adventure Ocean on the ship, but not on the island. So if you're going with the family, our boys told us not to even consider going to Hideaway Beach without them, that we were there as a family. We were going to enjoy it as a family. So we did not get to take advantage of that this time. But the only thing I really regret is not ziplining. I feel like Logan and London really enjoyed that and said it was a great experience. And I think Christian and I could have even handled that. We were just kind of a little intimidated by the one on the ship and thought we'll just pass on the ziplining this time. There's always next time though, right? You can't do everything on every trip. You have to leave something for the next trip because you may want to go back. And each time you go, there's going to be new experiences. You're going to have other memories that you're creating. So I saved something. I saved something for the next time. It was the most incredible day at CoCoCay. And if you're thinking that it's just going to be a glorified beach day, I feel like it's so much more. Even though we didn't do much of the extra add-ons except for in Logan, London doing the zip lining, I still felt like it was totally worth it. And we got to enjoy the pool and the beach area, and it was beautiful. And I now know what I'll do when I go back. That's all the time we have for this week's edition of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Be sure to join our Facebook group, Heather and Logan Tate, Whimsical Destinations. And wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, remember, life is a great adventure. It is what you make it, so make the most of it. Life is short. Take the trip. Make those memories together. You won't regret it. Happy traveling.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.